And welcome to Avio's Journey channel. I will first start by apologizing for my lateness. I think I'm about 15 minutes late today. So I do apologize, especially if you have scheduled these lives and you only have a set amount of time and I kind of burned that. So I apologize. But I did want to come back on. I was out running about. It is a special occasion today, and for my wife, and I had to go out and it's her birthday, and I had to go get her some things and doing some things for her later on. So I was a little behind, and I got back and I was able to get everything inside and do some things. So I was able to get on, but I wanted to come and do this live today and talk about something that I feel very strongly about, and it's kind of been in the roots of where I started. What's up, Jim? Good to see you. So today I want to talk about how do you pick a voiceover coach? And I guess to go further, do you need a voiceover coach? There is certainly many out there. And hey, Sabah. And, it's one of those things where I have some strong feelings about it. Hey, Joe. And the thing to start out first is, why would you need a voiceover coach to start? And, I go back to when I started, when we start anything, or even when we're in the middle of something, it is always beneficial to have someone who has, I think, traveled the road before and knows, the bumps in the road and the problems or the challenges or the benefits of doing this and not doing that. That's very valuable. It's valuable for time. It's valuable for helping your business grow quicker. And I think, in our day and age, we hear this a lot where we say, everybody wants everything fast. And that's true. But I think in the reality of it is, as I see this, that is true. But at the same time, the world moves really fast. So yes, we want things fast, but at the same time, things are moving super fast. So with that being said, it can be a challenge when it takes you a long time to learn something, because by the time you learn something in our day and age, the next thing has popped up and you're forced to learn something else, and it can become a cycle. So I know for me, even starting back in college, I mean, if you look at school and depending on what you went to school for and whether you're coaches or whatever you've done in life, we've had teachers, we've had coaches to help teach us and guide us along the way so that we can get to a place where we can know enough to take over the reins. So I really do think finding the right coach, and I want to stress that enough, finding the right coach is important, because there are many out there, and a lot of times we come across the wrong coach for us. They might not be the wrong coach for someone else, but they might be the wrong coach for us. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, she's going to be very happy. She had to go to work today, but she's going to be home a little earlier. So I got to go get the kids, and we've got family coming over, and I'm making dinner and things. So I don't think she watches my YouTube, so I know she's working, so she's not paying attention. But it's okay, Greg. I was late too. You're pushy, Greg. You are pushy, my friend. We're talking about how do you know how to choose the right voiceover coach. So anyways, so I was talking about the need for one, and I think it's clear that we all need coaches from time to time. All of us, doesn't matter what stage we are in our business, because a lot of times we need someone to be able to help us over that next stage or that next challenge we're in. But I want to talk about now how to choose the right coach. And I think this is probably one of the things that might be talked about the least. I mean, there's some people who talk about it, but a lot of times I think they inevitably sell themselves through it. And, I am a voiceover coach, but I'm going to give you some advice today that is not selling my services or anyone else's. It's going to be, I think, really beneficial for you in your future. So I remember when I first started doing acting, and, I remember working with my professor, and I remember him telling me that, if I wanted to go into children's theater, because at the time that's what we were working on, you know what I mean? He was a great person to work with. But if I wanted to go into maybe TV commercial work, he was not the best person to work with because he had not done, commercials, commercials for TV. And I'm talking about, TV as in like live TV as on screen, not voice acting at the moment. And that kind of stuck with me. And then as I went around, as I went through my life, I've kind of adopted that and realized if you want to be a doctor, right, you're not going to go to like if you want to be a medical doctor, right, you're not going to go to a person who is running a restaurant, right? I mean, that would be silly. A restaurateur is not going to be the person you try to mentor to be a doctor with. So where I'm going with all this is, as you look at the landscape and you probably come to a pass where you think, okay, I know there's things I need to know. I don't necessarily know where to begin, but I want to accomplish this. What I want you to do before you choose a coach is I want you to look around and I want you to find someone who is actually done or doing the things that you aspire to. They've created the lifestyle maybe that you want. That can be difficult to find. And it's sometimes very hard to cut through all of the mess out there because most people don't make that stuff public. Most people are very guarded, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying that people need to make their lives public, but I do think it warrants questions. I mean, I think it warrants questions. Where are you? What work are you doing? Another thing too is as I became a director and I directed live theater, I always remember my same professor, really smart guy. he always say, I never thought you could direct actors if you were never acting yourself, or you weren't. Because if you're not an actor yourself, how can you possibly know how to help actors be actors? And I think that's the same thing what we're doing here. If you find people to work with, to coach with, make sure they're doing the actual thing that they're coaching you on doing. Because if they're not, how do you know what they're actually saying works? And I want to say something also about the fact that I don't believe that that's always necessarily true. I think there are amazing, brilliant people out there who've had incredible careers and now are working as coaches and have such a wealth of knowledge, and that's wonderful. But again, I stress that to me, Mike, if you want, like, let's say you wanted to work with me, all right, and you wanted to learn how to become a union voice actor and work, from LA and with these massive size companies, I'm not the guy to work with. I'm not the best coach for you because that's not me. I don't live that life. I don't work with those companies. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if you're a person who, has a family or has a full-time job or part-time job and, you're in the middle of your life and you are looking to make a change and you want to move on. You've been working for somewhere for a long time and you have responsibilities, but yet you want to, do whatever you can to have a new life and be at home, and you don't worry about fame or, fortune necessarily. You just want to have a comfortable life doing voiceover, which you really like. I'm probably the guy that could help you because that's what I'm doing. But I'm not doing, I'm not working for Blizzard Entertainment. Would I love to do that one day? Absolutely. But again, I wouldn't be the guy to work with. If you wanted to do trailers, if you wanted to be a promo actor, okay, I'm not the best. I could probably recommend some other coaches that would be way better at getting you into promo than me. So I guess what I'm saying about this whole thing is that even when I look for a coach, I try to make sure that I find someone who is going to help me, who is doing the exact thing that I would like to do. And they are doing it right now and they are accomplishing it. And I hate to use the word verify, but it's kind of like, the saying, I guess, from Reagan, trust but verify. right? I mean, we need to do that. And it's not out of being suspicious, and I don't think it's out of being mean. I think it's out of being thorough, because you're not going to be able to know if what the advice you're getting has actually worked, I think, unless someone has actually done it. Now, I do think it is good to always be aware of there's nothing wrong with ideas. Like, I have lots of ideas. I have a mastermind group, and I love doing my mastermind every Saturday. And we talk about a lot of ideas and possibilities. And that's what that group is about. It's about, opening our minds and putting out things that maybe we've not done before. But that's the specific point of that group, and then helping each other accomplish those things, and moving us as a group forward in the voiceover industry. But if I'm working with someone to grow them one-on-one specifically to a certain point in their business, do you know what I mean? I don't want to be giving them theoretical advice. I want to be giving them advice that I've actually accomplished before. And you might say, well, there's always situations where you're in unique places. And I think that's true. I mean, I'm not in everybody's situation, and everybody's not in my situation, but I do think there are paths that we have all followed. People who work with me, I put them down the same exact path that I followed, because I know that if I've done that path and I've accomplished it, the people I work with, I can help them do the same exact thing to get to the same exact place I am, because I have done it. But again, I wouldn't recommend you working with me if you want to, do well, let me rephrase. At this time, maybe one day when I have, maybe more national spots under my belt, and I'm flying to studios, but I don't do that. So I'm not the guy to work with. And I say that because I think it's important for you to be a little more particular about who you work with and who you give your money to. And remember, when you think of investing money, really think of the return, right? And I know it's hard, because when you spend money, you spend money, it's gone, and there's a hole in your account, and it's tough. But I think when you spend money, and you try to justify, why am I spending this money? You have to think about, what is the return you expect. Now, you have to be careful in this sense, because asking someone to justify a return for you can be hard, because there's a lot of factors. For example, right, there's are you going to do the work that someone asks you to do? Or are the advice they're giving you actually going to work? Is it working right now? There's a lot of factors there. But whenever I invest money into a coach or a program, I always think to myself, I'm betting on myself. I've done the work to vet the person that I'm working with, to make sure that they have information that I need to help me move forward, to eliminate time, to eliminate, hardship and more challenges than I can face at the moment. You know what I mean? I've done that work. So I'm spending that money on myself. And I usually use this. I use this phrase a lot, or you hear me saying this a lot. If, like, I use Voice123 for an example, and they have that platinum program, right? And that program costs $1,500 for every 3 months. Okay. So that's a lot. I mean, so that's $6,000 a year. However, again, if I told you, if you pay me $1,500 a month, and you're going to make $10,000, I mean, $1,500 every 3 months, and you're going to make $10,000 from that $1,500 investment, hopefully you would see that is a amazing investment, and you would make that investment all day long. But a problem with investments is that we often have to make investments and we don't get guarantees. So how to make sure that we level some of that playing field is by doing our homework, asking questions. All right. Also, here's another thing. If you want to be like someone, make sure that they're doing the thing that you want to do. Now, again, it's hard. Like, I try to make sure that I put out a lot of information about who I am, what I'm doing, the life I'm living, the money I'm making. And at first I felt odd doing it, because I thought, I don't want people to think, oh gosh, that guy's maybe stuck up, he's making money, so putting it out there. But then I realized too, that it was important for me to know that I'm actually doing the work I'm saying I'm doing. I'm actually making the money I say I'm making. I'm not saying other people are lying at all. I'm not saying that one bit. But I wonder myself. I wonder when people say things, what are they actually accomplishing? Now, that is just me. And this is always a hard conversation for myself, because a lot of times it can come across as bad mouthing other people, and it's not. It's just my view about what I'm doing personally. Because another person, just because they don't put out what they're earning, could be earning quadruple the amount of money that any of us earn. They're just not putting it out there because they don't believe in that, and they think that's a private thing, and that's perfectly fine. But I do know in our day and age, it's hard to separate what's fake and what's real. It's hard because there's so much information. So the way to do it for me was to try to be as transparent as possible. And I kind of started a VO's journey for that very purpose, so people could follow along with my ups and my downs, my wins and my losses, and the things that are going well and the things that aren't going well. My one regret with some of the things I do, and I think other coaches don't do, maybe some do, but I don't even do a good enough job, is talk about a lot of the mental challenges we face, right? There's a lot of mental challenges that all of us face. Like, I'm doing well, but am I really that good? Is this business going to be there tomorrow? Am I going to be able to make enough money to really make this work? Is anybody really making this work? Is there really a formula for getting? I mean, all of those things come across everybody's minds. And I think the difference between people who continue to push forward and be successful and those who don't are the people who, when those things pop into their head, it's what you choose to do with that thought that matters. Do you take that thought and let it sit there? Or do you push that thought out, all right, and you put new thoughts in your mind? Because you can consciously do that. You can consciously say no. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Is it weird? Yes. But that's what you've got to do. There have been many times where I have specifically, and I know I'm getting kind of more philosophical here, and I apologize, but there is a mindset behind all of this. And the mindset too is about your motivation. There's many times where that stuff has crept into my head, and I have to tell myself, I have a mindset of abundance. There's plenty of work out there. It's going to be there. Don't fear what's not in front of you right now. That's scary, right? And that's scary too about choosing a coach or someone to work with, because you don't know what the future holds, and you don't know whether your money is actually going to be put to good use. So whenever I do and I invest, I always think about investing in myself. I trust myself. So I know if I put money somewhere, no matter what happens, I'm going to work hard enough to make it work. The question I ask is, the money I'm spending, am I spending it on the right information? Because you're going to get information. And then what are you going to do with that information? But see, that's where you trust yourself. If you get the right information, if I was to say right now, I'm going to give you the key to the future you've always wanted, and I give you that information, and then the information you get, you're like, well, I never thought about that. I guess that could work. But then you really don't pay that information that much mind, and you decide not to do something with it. Whose fault was that? Was that the coach's fault, or was that your fault? I could probably make an argument that's both people's fault, right? Because it's probably our fault as the people taking that information, maybe not trusting it, maybe not trying something, or maybe thinking it's silly or it's not doable. And maybe it's the coach's fault for not being able to cut through any of the misconceptions or the ideas, or being able to reach you on that level. Do people even think about that? Do coaches even think about that? Do people who are being coached think about that? I don't know. I do. It's weird. I'm a weirdo. But I want to tell you guys that today, because I think I've seen a lot recently of tons of coaching being available, and I offer coaching. And I know that when you put yourself out there, especially in our field as a coach, there is also a dogma of, why are you charging people and so forth? And there should be, all this stuff. So, I've tried to do things like this and give away a lot as well, because not everybody can afford to pay someone to coach. But at the same time, there will come time where you can. And you just make sure that when you do your research and find the people or the person who's doing at that time what you want to be doing. Ask them. You don't need to publicly ask them or berate them. Be polite, but ask them, hey, what work are you working on now? I'm trying to do my own research to make sure that when I spend money with you, you are the person that's going to help me do what I want to do right now. And hopefully they're nice enough to give you an answer about what they're currently doing. Do you know what I mean? And then you have to do your best, whether you can trust that or not. Okay. So anyways, there's my soapbox about coaching, and hopefully that helps you a little bit with your mindset and finding a coach and finding the right coach. I think it's really important. All right, let's take time. Come over here. I want to This says there's something that popped up on my chat. It says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. Oh no. I hope that doesn't mean that the chat's not working. Well, I see everybody else's chat. Let me see if there's any questions. But I was going to say, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them. But I don't know if that's posting it or not. But let me see if anybody has any right now. It says, I'm here. Hello. So I'm late. No. Paul says, I asked somebody who I thought was a really, really good voice talent who his coach was, and he told me his references were great. That's who I hired. Awesome. Are you talking about me, Paul? And it's okay if you're not, because I've worked with Paul and he's incredible. I always tell my kids, if you want to be a race car driver, hang with race car drivers. Absolutely. If you want to be a chef, hang with cooks. Absolutely. And what's funny is a lot of people give that free advice that are not those people. Oh, and that leads me to another, that's just random, Anthony talking time. But I want to say something briefly about people posting things in groups. And again, I know I've said this before, but even in my Facebook group, if you want feedback about your audio or about your demo or just about anything, and you post that in groups or you ask people for advice, remember, you don't know if those people are in any position who are giving the advice to give you good advice. I always love that saying, some of the most expensive advice is free. So you've got to be careful. And it's not out of malicious intent. People don't go on there. Well, most people don't give advice meaning to hurt someone, but they might not be the exact person who should, or you should be listening to. And again, try to listen to the people that you can verify are doing the things or some of the things that you would like to do. Okay. All right. Let's see. The valuable skills of terminology, processes, and such are things you can't learn in a classroom. It's true. Also consider the idea of having multiple coaches. Absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with that, because you could find a super talented acting coach, right? And they're just really good, and they're really good at connecting with you. I mean, that's the other aspect. I didn't talk a lot about the connection, but I always think it's easier to connect when somebody's doing exactly what you want to do. But that connection is really important, right? So, but I love that too. You might find a really talented acting coach that connects with you, but then you might also, want to work with a coach who is going to help you grow the business part of your voiceover business, right? Like maybe they're really good at workflow and organization and things, and maybe you struggle with that, right? Or maybe you struggle with marketing and you want to find a really good voiceover marketing coach. All right. There's a lot less voiceover marketing coaches out there. And the one, so you have to challenge yourself to find the ones that you can work with. All right. And have results. Let's see. Rich says, also consider the idea of having I just said that. Joe, how do you get in that group? I'm not sure I know what you mean by that, Joe. And for some reason, all of the stuff has stopped. Let me see if I can say hello and see if it starts up again. Make investments step by step. Okay. So, Joe, my suggestion is leave a comment underneath, or anybody else have any questions, leave comments. For some reason, the chat stopped working. I don't know why, but I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye for today. And if you've got any questions, leave the comments below, or, we can have a discussion there, or message me. You know what I mean? And I don't fear questions like that. I think they're good. I ask them, and I think they help put context, and also they help you know what type of person you're working with, right? They help a lot of things. Will the person get back to you? Will the now? I don't want to claim that you should if you message all these people and you keep messaging them, it's fair to judge because they're busy people too. So use common sense. But if you contact people in the terms they've asked you to contact them under, and their responses to you give you confidence or they don't give you confidence, go with that. Okay. Even put a criteria together if you want, because a coach can make a tremendous difference. Sometimes coaches actually even coach you on being able to have the confidence you need. And that's important. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. For me, the confidence and sometimes the spiritual part, and what I mean by spiritual, I mean kind of like the believing part, that's like more important to me necessarily than a lot of the other things, because as soon as you tell me something, right, I'm going to go do it and I'm going to figure it out. And hopefully I'm going to make it work, or I'll fail and then I'll try it again and I'll figure it out. So the doing part is not necessarily the hard part for me. It's the mental challenges that I have to overstep, to step over in order to keep going and moving forward. Those are challenges that I face. I face that, a lot. So we all have our demons, but we all also have the things we need. So figuring out what you need is important too. You might actually need someone who is going to be there to say, yeah, that's good. You're doing a good job. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Because especially if that person who's telling you that is somewhere you want to be, because then you're on the right track and you're doing the right things. Then it's just a matter of time. All right. See, it's deadly when you can't conversate with me. I just keep talking. All right, you guys, you have a wonderful day. Today's Thursday, right? Yes, it is. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be on time. So thank you guys for sticking around. Have a good one. Bye-bye.